What's up, everybody? I got a new Renegade. Check this thing out. Figured I'd do a little bit of a walk around on it. I've only really rode it once. I was breaking in, and then I ordered a bunch of parts for it. I guess we'll just kind of go through this whole thing here. So it's a 2023 Can-Am Renegade 1000 XMR. Things I've done to it right off the bat, as you guys can tell, I've got the 32-inch Assassinators on the stock beadlocks. I made sure that I, put the power to ground the correct way. I went with a QSC RevX along with a secondary spring. Kept the stock secondary, and I found from the first time I've actually been riding it that the stock secondary and the STM secondary, now that I've had both, little to no difference. I'm just telling you from personal experience. I get it if you have a faster motor, more built motor, I guess you'd say, something like an 1180 kit or something like that. The back shifting makes a big difference, but what I can tell you is that from my personal experience, the stock secondary with Adams secondary spring and the QSC RevX, when it's tuned properly for these 32s, you can't notice any difference whatsoever. I actually think maybe it's just the way it's tuned, but I think it actually it's a little bit more snappy on the belt. I did put a Maverick belt in there. I highly recommend everyone does that if you're going to run a bigger, heavier tire. You can just look at the OG Maverick part number and order that belt. It's just a lot stronger. It's made of a denser compound. It might not have as much grip right away, but it'll last a lot longer, especially when you do heavy pulls with these tires, because these 3-inch lugs like to bite. Let's go right back to the front here. The second thing I did is I went and put on, I still have the OE winch on here, but I did add a rough country winch rope, because synthetic is super important. I don't like the cables breaking, and you guys know just as well as I do the cable winches that come on these, and actually the winches in general, they just don't hold up to the abuse of the mud. I will be going with KFI to put a 5,000-pound winch in it. More videos to follow on that, but we'll be swapping that out probably after this Memorial Day ride. Right after that, I did the OEM Rad Relocate, which I actually really like it. At first I wasn't so sure, but the way with 23s are with the new bumpers, it's almost perfectly in line with it, and I like how everything goes in here nice and neat. I did the full install all myself. I made sure I was really tight and did it the best way I could. Took my time with it, and I've had it on one ride and it performed flawlessly. Rubber Down Customs made me this custom rack for the guys I ride with. Obviously Rotex Rednecks, got to represent when we're out there. I like the black on black. I haven't decided yet whether I'm going to change this to the Magma Red or not. But I had to get powder recently so I could do the back rack. We'll talk about that in a minute. But I really kind of like the black on black. I think it's pretty slick. It's a gloss black with a flat black, and it looks really good. Moving on. We got this MTAC lanyard right here. Super simple. I got it off Amazon. I think it was like $8 or $9 because you don't want to lose your key. So you just put that there, and it's actually Velcro, so at night you can just take it on and off real quick. So that's kind of handy. Then I bought the MCE cover, and I did buy the back piece. If you guys have ever seen, there's a back piece that goes here and that puts a screen on them, but it doesn't all fit that well together. So if I was you, I wouldn't recommend just buying the MCE cover. And the reason I did that is if you watch a lot of videos, especially if you're mudding real hard, the OEM screen that comes here and it covers everything up, it gets clogged with mud really quick, and it starves your engine oxygen, and your performance goes downhill super fast to the point it'll literally feel like it's being dogged out. This prevents that, because when the mud falls down, it hits this, and this actually takes it, sucks air out from in here and in here, and you don't lose any performance on your motor. It's a very cheap, easy mod to do. It's just a couple of screws in the top, and it sits on this little lip right here, and it's actually really secure. So I think that's one of the more important ones you can do, especially if you ride pretty hard. I kept the stock floorboards. 32s do fit just fine with the stock floorboards. So those came out pretty good. Let's see what else here. This is really neat. I got with Jesse Asher for this rack. It was an old one he had laying around. I do believe that you can get this exact same rack from the company he was working with. I think it's called Fabrication by Design. You can get them through them. They are literally the beefiest rack on the market. He sent me an old beat up one that he had laying around. I just had it repowder coated. That's where I got the powder from. And I'm probably going to do the emblem in the front. But yeah, these racks are, I mean, I just think they're the best. First place I ever saw it was on my buddy Jared's Renegade, and it just looked flawless. It was really beefy. Gave you something to hold on to when you're really trying to get through the mud. And that they look mean. Really tough, dense tubing. So yeah, Fabrication by Design rear rack, and I really like how it takes and it holds your plastics up, because if you guys have seen before, these little rods will break a lot because of all that extra weight. But this rack has it built in to where it will grab your plastics, and you just nut and bolt it together, and now you never have to worry about your plastics getting floppy ever again. I just flip the bolt around, so instead of going down, and now it goes up, and I move the washer up here so it grabs a lot better. But that's another really good thing about the rack. There's a bunch of videos of guys that will literally winch up in their front and winch up in the back, and it'll pick up the whole machine by just the rack, so you know it's built well. Moving on, as you guys can see, I did a RJWC APX duals. They sound great. They are a little bit louder than I thought they were, but I really like the way they look. I like they're a little bit more modern design, I think. Everybody else is running the mud editions or whatever. I really like these ones. Pretty easy to install, just take your time. I think the biggest pain in the butt was getting the stock exhaust to come free and to be able to pull it out. But they do sound really, really good. I'll start them up for you at the end of this video. They're much louder. They're not neighborhood friendly, that's for sure. But you're going to know it's running, and you're going to know it sounds really, really good. So I'm pretty happy with those pipes. You can get them, anything with RJWC, you just got to pay attention to their discounts and their discount codes. Because you can get anything on their website for like 30 to 40% off. You just pay attention and you're not like in a rush. So that's kind of what I do with RJWC, is I wait for something to pop up or some deal to pop up. Then you add like Braden 20 or something like that to it, and you can get way cheaper on all your stuff. Moving on. This was cool. I covered this in a TikTok video and it kind of blew up a little bit. But this right here is a 570 Outlander hitch, and it bolts right up. And then if you measure from this point right here and measure back 1 3/4 inches and then grind it down, your tiger tail will fit perfectly in there. And you just drill some new holes and it'll go right in there. And now your tiger tail sits up and out of the mud, so where it doesn't drag anymore, which is really, really neat and very, very convenient. You guys know we run KFI tiger tails on everything we run. They're super fast, efficient, and a load of fun to have on your bike. I like the fact that they reel themselves in. You don't have to worry about the tires catching them up. So we'll put a link in the description for those. KFI was nice enough to send us some of those with some winches and stuff. We just started partnering up with them. So definitely, we've been using tiger tails long before we were ever sponsored. So link will be in the description. Highly recommend. I'll put a description for both of those. Let's see what else we got here. There's not too much more, honestly. I guess we can just go over the 23 Renegade as a whole. Anyway, some new features that you guys have found on it. They started doing smart lock a long time ago. Actually, it's not smart lock, sorry. It's actually 4-lock on the 4-wheelers. It's smart lock on the ATVs, which is super simple if you just turn power on or whatever. You guys are used to seeing this. You got your 4x4, which is your regular Visco, and then you can just lock it in. Kind of handy. Really does work. Another new thing that you guys will see in the 2023s is the intelligent engine braking, right? Pretty neat, and it actually does work really, really well. I'm not going to start the machine now because you guys will never be able to hear me. But on this trigger right here, you have this IEB control. And when you hold it, that controls how fast the engine's going to slow you down, and it really does work really, really well. Think of it like a Jake brake on the diesel. So if you have your minimum, that's like what you can expect normally from your four-wheelers you've always had in the past. But if you amp it up to like max, it'll, as soon as you let off the throttle, it'll slow you down real good. Like if you're going down hills, like we went to Hatfield and McCoy's a few weeks ago, and it was super cool to have that. But you just push the button and it'll change it for you, and it'll definitely, you know, way less wear on your pads. I keep it on minimum just because that's how I'm used to riding, and I'm not riding any sort of hills, but this would come in super handy if you were ever like in a lot of hills like Hatfield and McCoy's or West Virginia or something like that. Another cool thing, the new Renegades compared to the old ones, the temperature gauge is a big clutch and crucial part that I think people like and are very happy that are finally on the Renegades now. So you got a temperature gauge, you've got, you know, you can scroll through, you got your time, your distance. I don't even have 100 miles on it yet. You can do your battery voltage. You can even have it to where it tells you your temperature right there on the screen, so that's really nice. Brakes on this metal, there's only a left-hand brake, and there's a brake down there. And now they've actually moved to where there's only one brake in the rear of the Renegades. Like there used to be a lot more. Well, not a lot more. There used to be one more. But in the back, they had a brake on both sides. There's only one on this side, which is kind of weird, but my Outlander was like that, and I guess now the Renegades are like that, which the Renegades used to be dual discs in the back, but they're not. That being said, I have no issues with the braking power. It seems to do just fine. This is where I will tell you guys, right? The step up from the 1000 motor from the 850, everybody's lying to you, saying, oh, it's no big difference, it's you know, it's minimal, just go with the 850, save yourself a couple extra bucks. They're all lying to you. The 1000 R motor in the Renegade and going from the 850 Outlander to the 1000 Renegade is like night and day. This thing is an animal. I feel at the 850 there were times where you had like a little bit of untouched power that you always kind of, there were certain times you really wish you had a little bit more. That is not the case. You never run out of power with this machine. So don't listen to all the hype around the 850. I've had them both. And this one is by far stronger, faster, way more torque. It's just nasty. It literally feels like you're riding like a little Velociraptor or something when you sit on it. It is just crazy the amount of power this thing has in it. Another cool thing about the 2023s, right? New front light fascia, which I actually really dig. There is no use anymore for a light bar. These LED lights are super bright and they work very well. Let's see if we can get them on for you. So how you turn them on is you undo the key so we get a few seconds out of it. Make sure you're on, turn your lights on, and you push the thing. And that's with your high beam on, and both lights are on. Looks really good. It just looks super modern and real mean and nasty. And like I said, now you have no need to have a light bar whatsoever. These lights are just as bright as any light bar you're going to buy. We have rid it at night in the woods, and it's amazing. You click just your low beam, and just the outside lights come on. So, yeah, I think you guys are going to be very happy with the new lights. I do think that something with the lights might have messed with the plastic design, because some of the fitment, you've seen a lot of people complaining about that. I have heard that it fixes it once you get floorboards. I do not intend to get floorboards at all. I like the fact that these come out and help keep some of the mud off your face. So I've heard when you get floorboards it does kind of fix the plastics, but what I've found to do to make it better is I usually just use a small screw right there on both sides, and I just pushed up on the plastic, drilled a hole, and then did these screws, and it holds it up so you can't see any of the weird lines. You step back and you can just see just fine. I did the same on both sides. As you guys can see, you can't even see that one because the key lanyard is there. I'm trying to think of anything else I've really done to it. Not too much yet. I am going to do the specialized ATV tie rods eventually when I get that. I don't really plan on doing forward or rear arms yet or nothing like that. I'm I'm really going to ride it the way it is. I feel like this is the happy point where it's super capable and but still maintains a factory warranty depending on who you're going through and who you bought it from. And I just think the 32s they're just a happy balance. They seem to do really, really well, and you don't need to spend all that extra money. If I do end up going bigger to 34s, eventually I'll have to do floorboards, front and rear arms, and lift it up. I know ATV and a couple other guys have said you can just just run these and you just move the floorboards forward. Mud Puppy, I think, was the first guy to do that, but you could do that, get forward arms, and you'll be good to go. But right now I'm kind of happy with 32s. I think that just the stance and everything just looks just right on it. I think anybody can tackle this job. Just be patient, take your time, and you can do it. The Can-Am directions are pretty spot on. It's not confusing like some of the other ones that they have. I got to get the little metal piece that goes under here. You guys see in our other videos. I've already covered the things the dealer doesn't tell you video, so go back and check that out. I did it on the Outlander, and it's the exact same for all the other models. So I probably will do RJWC rear lights just because I really like the way they look. It's not, like I said, not a major thing I need right now, but yeah, looking forward to rip this Memorial Day weekend. You guys have to check the video out. We'll do a a run through of exactly how it does. I mean, Renegades have pretty much been figured out for a while now what to do and how to make them bulletproof, and I think I'm just about there. I do have like 5 extra tie rods on it, so maybe I'll bend a few before I go put those Specialized ATV ones on. But next thing we'll do is the winch. For sure, I gotta get to install that KFI one right there. It'd be nice to have a 5K winch on it. They bolt right up. Just make sure you get the short drum, not the wide drum, and then you can put a 5K winch. It'll literally bolt straight up and go into the factory wire harness that's already in here by Can-Am. So you'll literally have to just swap these 2 wires. KFI is super good about trying to make things convenient for you guys. But that's it in a nutshell. We're sitting right here at about 17 minutes. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the walk around. Hopefully it helped, maybe make your decision about what you're going to buy. But yeah, looking forward to ripping it. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.